I'm 71 years old now, and I've been thinking about Saleem a lot lately. He was my best friend. We grew up together in the same neighborhood, went to the same school, shared everything. And then I let pride destroy all of it. 30 years. That's how long we didn't speak. 30 years, because I couldn't let go of being right. It started over something so small I can barely remember the details now. We were in our early 40s. Both of us had families, jobs, responsibilities. We'd stayed close all those years, even as life got busier. Every Friday, we'd meet at the same tea shop. It was our ritual. We'd sit there for hours, talking about everything and nothing. One day, he criticized a decision I'd made about my son's education. I wanted to send him to a private school in the city. Saleem thought it was unnecessary, that the local school was good enough, that I was trying too hard to prove something. He said I was being foolish with money I didn't have. I remember the anger I felt. It was immediate. He had no right to question me like that. I was the boy's father, not him. What did he know about what was best for my child? I didn't yell. I just went quiet. I finished my tea, paid, and left. And I never went back to that tea shop on a Friday again. He called me a few days later. I didn't pick up. He came to my house once. I told my wife to say I wasn't home. After a while, he stopped trying. The thing is, I wasn't even that angry after the first week. But by then, I'd already committed. I'd already made it clear that I was cutting him off. And to reach out after that would mean admitting I'd overacted. It would mean apologizing. And I wasn't going to do that. So I justified it. I told myself he had crossed a line. I told myself that real friends don't disrespect you like that. I told myself I was teaching him that there are consequences for words. The years passed. I'd see him sometimes from a distance, at weddings, funerals, community events. We'd nod, maybe, if we made eye contact, but we never spoke. And every time I saw him, instead of feeling regret, I felt that same stubborn anger rise up again. It became a habit, almost. The anger justified itself. My wife asked me about it a few times in the early years. "Why don't you just talk to him?" she'd say. "It's been so long. Whatever it was, it doesn't matter anymore." But it did matter. At least I made it matter. I told her she didn't understand, that it was about principle, about respect. She stopped asking after a while. Life moved forward. My son grew up, went to university, got married. I kept working, kept busy. Saleem's name would come up occasionally in conversation with mutual friends, but I'd changed the subject. I became good at that, I think. Somewhere deep down, I always assumed we'd fix it eventually. Not soon, but someday. When we were older, when things mattered less, when pride didn't feel so urgent, I thought there would be time. There's always time when you're in your 40s, your 50s, even your 60s. Time feels endless then. But it isn't. 2 years ago, I got a call from Saleem's son. His voice was shaking. He told me his father had collapsed at home. A massive heart attack. They'd rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late. He was gone. I remember standing there with the phone in my hand, not knowing what to say. Saleem's son was crying, and he said something I'll never forget. He said, "My father talked about you all the time. He missed you. He never understood what happened between you two." I went to the funeral. I had to. I stood at the back, watching his family grieve, watching his grandchildren cry. And I realized I had no place there anymore. I wasn't part of his life. I hadn't been for 30 years. After the burial, I tried to talk to his wife. I wanted to say something, anything. But what could I say? "I'm sorry. I wasted 3 decades of friendship over nothing." She was polite, but distant. I was a stranger to her, and I had made myself one. I went home that day, and sat in my room for hours. My wife came in and put a hand on my shoulder, but she didn't say anything. What was there to say? That night, I went through some old photographs. There was one of Saleem and me from our 20s, standing outside the old cinema, laughing at something I can't remember now. We looked so young, so sure of everything. I thought about all the conversations we never had, all the years we could have spent together, all the moments I missed. His daughter's wedding, his son's graduation, the birth of his grandchildren. I wasn't there for any of it. And he wasn't there for mine. And for what? Because he questioned my decision, because I couldn't swallow my pride and pick up the phone. I keep thinking about that last conversation we had, the one at the tea shop. I've replayed it in my mind 1,000 times since he died, and the truth is, he wasn't even wrong. The private school didn't make that much difference in the end. My son turned out fine, but not because of where he went to school. Saleem had been trying to look out for me, trying to save me from unnecessary stress and debt, and I punished him for it. But here's the worst part. It's not just that I lost him. It's that I lost him on purpose. I chose this every single day for 30 years. I chose pride over friendship. I chose being right over being happy. I chose silence over humility, and now he's gone, and there's nothing I can do about it. People say, at least you have the memories. But I don't really. Not the way I should, because every memory of Saleem now comes with this weight. This knowledge that I abandoned him over nothing, that I let him die thinking I hated him or didn't care, when the truth is I thought about him all the time. I wonder if he was angry at me too, all those years, or if he was just hurt or confused. I'll never know. And that might be the hardest part. I don't get to know how he felt. I don't get to apologize. I don't get to hear him laugh again or argue with him or just sit in comfortable silence over tea. There's a finality to death that I don't think young people understand. When someone is alive, even if you're not speaking to them, there's always this possibility, this idea that one day maybe things will change. You can fix it tomorrow or next year or when you're ready, but when they die, that possibility dies with them. The door closes and it's locked forever. I've started going to that old tea shop again, the same one where Saleem and I used to meet every Friday. It's changed owners twice since then, and the furniture is different, but I sit in the same corner we used to sit in. I don't know why I do it. Maybe I'm punishing myself. Maybe I'm trying to feel close to him again. Maybe I'm just old and lonely, and this is all I have left. Sometimes I imagine what I would say to him if he walked in right now. I've rehearsed it in my head so many times. I'd tell him I was wrong. I'd tell him I'm sorry. I'd tell him that he was right about the school, right about everything, and that it didn't matter anyway, because what mattered was him. Our friendship, the years we wasted. But he's not going to walk in, and I have to live with that. My children ask me sometimes why I'm so quiet now. Why I sit alone so much. I don't tell them about Saleem. What would I say? That their father is a fool who most important friendship of his life because he couldn't admit he was wrong. That I'm sitting here at 71, haunted by my own stubbornness. They have their own lives now, their own families. They visit, but not often. And I understand. I did the same thing when my parents were old. You get busy. You assume there's time. You think they'll always be there, but time runs out faster than you think. I've tried to reach out to Saleem's family a few times since the funeral. I sent his wife some money for her daughter's wedding. I called his son on aid. But it's awkward. They're polite, but I can feel the distance. I'm not part of their lives. I gave up that right 30 years ago. There's a grandson of his, must be about 12 or 13 now. I saw him at the mosque a few months ago. He looks exactly like Saleem did at that age. Same eyes, same smile. I wanted to go up to him and tell him about his grandfather, about what a good man he was. How we used to laugh until our stomachs hurt, about how he was always there when I needed him, until I decided I didn't need him anymore. But I didn't say anything. I just watched him from a distance. Another moment I let slip away. I think about all the other friendships I've had over the years, the colleagues from work, the neighbors, the cousins I was close to. Most of them have faded too. Not because of fights or pride, but just because I let them. Because I was always too busy, too tired, too convinced that I'd see them next week, next month, next year. And now I'm old, and most of them are gone or might as well be. The phone doesn't ring much anymore. My wife is still here, thank God, but she has her own health problems now. Her memory isn't what it used to be. Sometimes I'll tell her something, and 5 minutes later she's forgotten. I wonder if one day she'll forget me too. That terrifies me more than I can say. I watch young people now, and I want to shake them. I want to grab them and tell them to stop wasting time on pride, on being right, on holding grudges. I want to tell them that 30 years feels impossible when you're young, but it goes by in a blink. And then you're sitting alone in a tea shop, crying over a friendship you killed yourself, and there's nothing you can do to bring it back. But I don't say anything, because they wouldn't listen. I wouldn't have listened either at their age. You have to lose it all to understand what you had. That's the curse of being human. I think we only see clearly when it's too late. I still have that photograph of Saleem and me, the one from outside the cinema. I keep it in my wallet now. Sometimes I take it out and look at it. At our young faces, our careless smiles. We had no idea what was coming. No idea how stupid we'd be, how much we'd throw away. If I could go back, I'd do everything differently. I'd let him win that argument. I'd swallow my pride. I'd call him the next day and apologize. I'd show up at his door with sweets, and we'd laugh about it, and everything would be fine. But I can't go back. No one can. All I have now is this empty space where my friend used to be. This weight of regret that I carry everywhere, and the knowledge that I did this to myself. People talk about forgiveness like it's something you give to others, but sometimes the person you need to forgive is yourself. And I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I deserve to. I'm 71 years old. I don't have much time left. Maybe 10 years, maybe less, and I'm going to spend whatever time I have left knowing that I threw away 30 years with my best friend because I was too proud to say sorry. That's my legacy. That's what I'm leaving behind. If you're listening to this and you have someone in your life you're not speaking to, someone you've cut off over something small, please don't wait. Don't be like me. Don't assume there's time. Don't let pride win, because one day you'll be old and it'll be gone. And you'll sit in an empty tea shop remembering all the things you should have said, all the years you wasted, all the love you threw away, and nothing you do will bring it back. I know this probably won't change anything for most people. That's fine. I'm not trying to save anyone. I'm just an old man telling the truth, because I'm running out of chances to tell it. But if even one person hears this and picks up the phone or sends a message or swallows their pride and reaches out, then maybe Saleem's death won't have been completely meaningless. Maybe some good can come from my mistake. I hope so. I really hope so. Because I'd give anything, everything I have for one more Friday afternoon with my friend, one more cup of tea, One more argument I could lose on purpose just to hear him laugh. But that's not going to happen. And I have to live with that until I don't have to live at all.